They actually put terrible words in my mouth having to do with January 6th that I didn't say. And the beautiful words that I said, right? The beautiful words, talking about patriotism and all of the good things that I said, they didn't say that, but they put terrible words. They actually have me speaking with words that I never said, and they got caught because I believe somebody at BBC said, this is so bad, it has to be reported. That's called fake news. Shows that BBC is fake news. Of course, you and I knew that for a long time, but we didn't know it was this
big. They also have to deal with the question that the president is the ultimate public figure, and as a public figure has to put up with the slings and arrows of incorrect reporting and all of those other things which are protected under America's First Amendment to the Bill of Rights. And so in the absence of being able to show that the BBC did this deliberately to impugn or didn't care whether it was true or not, then in those circumstances it's very difficult for the president to win as a public figure. Trump's chances in court are perhaps almost beside the point, because he seems to want a political rather than a legal or financial victory. That appears to be the motivation for the suit. And one can pick through the legal defects in the complaints and all the rest of it, but I'm not sure that that's what this case is about. And I think President Trump is banking on the fact that the British public will not want to spend the money to defend the claim, nor will they want to pay any money in damages to him. So it allows him to continue a narrative of fake news and all of those other things at fairly little cost in the global scheme of things. He has to be able to show definitively that it was seen and that people thought the less of him. Otherwise, there's been no publication, no harm in Florida, and the case should be properly dismissed.
Look, I want to ask you about the BBC. It's had to admit it misled viewers again after suggesting that Donald Trump had called for Liz Cheney to be shot in the face. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the show, most media outlets did the same thing. I mean, that's what they were suggesting. But an internal memo acknowledged that BBC's coverage was inaccurate, but the BBC never issued a public correction. Josh, I mean, it's a pretty shocking claim to get wrong, to suggest, and then not even bother making a correction.
Yeah, how many scandals does the BBC need to have until British taxpayers just pull the plug once and for all? I mean, I have a philosophical problem, Gabriella, with the entire notion of state-run media, because I don't know, call me conspiratorial, but in my mind, whenever I think of state-run media, I immediately think of Pravda, of literal Soviet propaganda at the very height of communism there. There's really nothing good down that road. A free and flourishing and independent press, I would argue, is a foundation and a bedrock for a free and flourishing democracy and constitutional republic. So I object on philosophical grounds. But even if you don't object on philosophical grounds to state-run media, surely you should object on grounds of just ranking competence, right? I mean, this is hardly the first time that the BBC has been caught. We had yet another scandal recently at the BBC, a monumental scandal, probably the largest scandal in the modern history of the BBC, literally just a few weeks ago, pertaining to this deeply deceptively edited tape about Donald Trump, what he said versus what he didn't say on January 6, 2021. The BBC, incidentally, also on various other international coverage, foreign affairs issues, their coverage of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza has been nothing short of repulsive and atrocious. The Telegraph, the British newspaper, has recently been calling out just the sheer number of lies that they have told about that particular war over the past couple of years as well. So, I object to state-run media on philosophical grounds, but even if you don't share my sympathies, surely just being so utterly wrong and stupid and failing to even have the humility to make amends for it, to issue a retraction, to issue a correction, to basically just say, mea culpa, our bad. Surely that's not too much to ask for, I guess, unless you're a hoity-toity, snotty British public media tycoon like the heads of the BBC. Shame on them.
Yeah, well, even Australia's taxpayer-funded media issued a correction. You know, of course, that their coverage was wrong, but they at least acknowledged that they got it wrong. Jeff, as Josh mentioned, I mean, this comes after that huge editing scandal where they deliberately, deceptively edited Donald Trump to make it look like he was inciting violence.
Right. Well, can you say biased? I mean, it's obviously the biggest problem is they're horribly biased against conservatives, against people that are not leftists. They hate Donald Trump, obviously, because he's pushing a "Make America Great Again" agenda, and they went out to try to get him, and they deceptively edited. I mean, something that the world saw. It was so obvious, and it's something that they should pay for. I mean, financially, they're liable for what they did, and it's just one series of mistakes and outrages after another. And I wish the British people could free themselves of the BBC and find more outlets that are telling the truth, because obviously the BBC is not telling the truth, and that's the problem. And it's a sad state of affairs that you have a country like the UK that's got to rely so much on a corrupt network like the BBC. Thankfully, here in this country, we don't have that kind of a situation. We did what we did with PBS, took away the funding from a very left-wing entity. And I think now the free market should determine, what networks are the best as far as viewership goes. It shouldn't be forced from any government entity.